Good morning, everybody. This is Wordsworth Irving, branch manager here at Maximum One. This is another edition of Tech Thursday. Today we have Justin Brady from Georgia MLS, and he is going to be going over Ditto, which is a listing tool on Georgia MLS. Then he's going to go over, anything on Georgia MLS that you guys might have some questions about. And after that, we're going to open it up for some questions and everything. So go ahead, Justin. You got it.
All right, thank you so much. Hopefully everyone is able to see my screen. I have shared the screen where I'm going to take you through Ditto today. I can access Ditto with y'all by logging in with my ID and password at the Georgia MLS member site, which is GAMLS.com. And this is where you're used to accessing all of the products, services, and tools available to you as a member. So you see when I log in, I'm on the home page of the member website. And today I want to walk through Ditto. Ditto is an autofill tool that has been built for our members to use so that when they're inputting listings into Georgia MLS, or it's actually just recently opened to where you can send listings over to FMLS if you happen to be a dual member, you can use this tool for your listing input needs. Now, I mentioned that it is an autofill tool. It is going to try and save you time autofilling listing data. If you can search down that listing in one of the services that is mapped out through this tool, whether it's Georgia MLS, FMLS, or a few of the other listing services that you'll see mapped out through the tool. We're hoping that this will save our members time so that when it comes time to inputting a listing into our service, perhaps that workload is cut down drastically because you can simply autofill the listing data into here. Now, let me first start out by showing everyone Paragon, because this is where you're used to inputting and maintaining your listings. And it is perfectly fine to continue doing that when you need to input a listing into Georgia MLS. But you're going to see today, Ditto is going to cut down on the amount of time you're spending inputting that listing into our service. So let me first quickly open up Paragon, and I want to show everyone that inside of this program, if you're responsible for inputting your listings into Georgia MLS or maintaining your listings in our service, then you're used to opening Paragon and coming here to the listings module inside of the program. And this is traditionally where you add listings into Georgia MLS. And you can still do that by clicking the property type that you would like to add. It would open up a listing input form, and you would need to at least complete all the required fields that you see labeled with an R. It will help you monitor how many fields are remaining in the bottom left corner before you're able to save your listing in Georgia MLS. So again, it's okay to continue adding your listings right here like you're used to doing. But also, this is where you maintain your listing, and you will continue doing that here in Paragon. Whether you choose to use Ditto to help you input a listing or not, you will continue to maintain your listings when you need to make changes to them in Georgia MLS. You'll open up Paragon and you'll come here to maintain your listings. But whether you choose to add your listing into Georgia MLS here or whether you choose to add it using Ditto will be up to you. Let me close Paragon real quick and let's go open up Ditto. I have a quick access link for Ditto right here at the top of my homepage, making it easy to open this tool up when I need to use it. And when I click on Ditto, it's going to ask me, where do you want to send your listing? What service are you wanting to put your listing into? And right now, of course, you have the ability to put it into our service, Georgia MLS, but our data guys have recently opened this tool up to where if you would like, you can send a listing from here into FMLS. We have an agreement worked out with them so that our dual members have the ability to not only pull a listing into here from another service, but now they can send a listing over to FMLS using Ditto. Now, if I'm wanting to input a listing into Georgia MLS and I'm here using Ditto to do that, I'm going to select Georgia MLS and it shows me this screen. So again, a moment ago we were in Paragon and I mentioned that you can continue to add your listing into Georgia MLS using Paragon if you would like, or you can come here and add your listing into Georgia MLS using Ditto. And why you might want to use Ditto is right now I'm able to locate listing data from any listing in Georgia MLS, FMLS, Classic MLS, Altamaha Basin MLS, and Lake Country Georgia MLS. These are various listing services here in Georgia where we've been mapped out to be able to pull in listing data from any listing in one of those services, on or off market. Also, I can autofill listing data from one of these services, whether it's my listing that I'm autofilling into here, or whether it is someone else's listing that's been put into one of these services. You're simply able to autofill the listing data over here to Ditto and save it in Georgia MLS. Now, let's say I was trying to find a listing that had been put into Georgia MLS long ago, and I was now going to come here and list it right now in Georgia MLS. Well, whether it's on or off market, I can locate it in Georgia MLS. Whether I want to use a listing number or whether I want to use an address to locate the property, it'll allow me to do that. So notice I put in a partial address and it located the property in the service that I chose. This is an attached single family home and I'm going to use this listing. Now, say this was an older listing, even though I'm going to use it, it'll autofill listing data into a blank form for me. I chose the property type, and here comes the listing data. It's filled in just about every field. Anything that is required, you'll see labeled with an asterisk. But as I make my way down, it's going to ask me to fill in some information pertaining to this listing right now, such as the listing date, the agent that's listing the home right now, which is you, now since I used an old listing report, it auto-filled some old tax information into here, so I could update that if I would like before saving. But you'll notice that it's auto-filled the listing information from the property that I located from the service that I chose. By hitting the Save button, It's allowing me to continue on through the tool. So once I had gone through all of that listing information and it was accurate, updated, and correct, I can now proceed to saving this as a partial listing. If I've done everything I needed to do, I could save it as a complete listing. Or I can do nothing at this time and come back later on to finish it and input it into Georgia MLS. You have some options right now, whether you want to save it or not. If I do choose to save this as a partial or as a complete listing, when I move on to the next screen, it will allow me to do the entire photo upload for this listing as well. But I would need to have possession of those photos. Ditto is not going to bring in photos from another listing report. You need to have those photos available to you so you can upload them. So on the next screen, it would allow me, if I chose to save this right now, it would allow me to do the full photo upload before I close this down. By doing this, let me just say do nothing at this time. 10 minutes later, after that listing had been given its listing number and cycled through our system, you could come here to Paragon and you would see your new listing waiting here for you to further maintain if you needed to. Now again, a lot of us have already seen what that process looks like. You come here and find your listing that you have in Georgia MLS, and you can further maintain it if you'd like. So you can make status changes, you can make price changes, you can upload your associated documents if you have any. You're able to add an open house if you've got one scheduled and coming up soon. You can further maintain your listing in Georgia MLS, but you would do that here in Paragon. Now, a moment ago, I just found a listing that I wanted to put into Georgia MLS, and I had pulled it in from our database, from the Georgia MLS database, and I had saved it like a new listing. I could have done that for a listing that was over in FMLS. I could have auto-filled the listing data into here and saved it in Georgia MLS. If I was a member of Georgia MLS, but I had just put my listing into the Athens area listing service Classic MLS, I could now come here to Ditto and now autofill my listing into Georgia MLS to easily save. I'm not having to start the whole listing input process over again. It's autofilling 95% of the fields in the listing form. I can still edit. If I autofill an old listing into a form to save it here in Ditto, I can still edit any of that data that's been autofilled into here. Of course, you might want to do that if you're locating an older listing and you may need to update some details about it. But if you just put your listing over into FMLS, say you're a dual member of Georgia MLS and FMLS, then now you're coming here, and if you have a listing number, or if you just want to find it by its address, you can do that. You're now autofilling your listing from FMLS into Georgia MLS using Ditto. Now, just recently, whenever you come into Ditto, it's giving you a second option. For any of our members that also belong to FMLS, if you would rather put it into Georgia MLS first, you would prefer to list your properties using going through Paragon, or maybe you want to come here and list your property in a blank form using Ditto. And then you want to send it over to FMLS. If you're ready to go, you can do that right now. Where do you want to send the listing? If you've put it into Georgia MLS, you can now come here and send it to FMLS. And in order to do that, you're going to need to validate your credentials in that service. We have an agreement with them to allow for this to happen, but you would need to validate your FMLS user ID and password in order to use this tool to send your listing to FMLS. Now, no matter what your work process is, whether you want to input it into one service first or the other, Ditto is going to allow you to autofill the listing data into the other service. Now, when this tool originally opened up, the only option you had was to autofill a listing into Georgia MLS from our database or another service. But now you can reverse that process and take a listing that you or someone else has put into Georgia MLS and autofill its listing data over to FMLS. This to me is a time saver tool. So I'm not having to go and start the listing input process from step one every time I'm trying to put my listing into a service. But I meet up with individuals that are only members of Georgia MLS that can still get a lot of benefit from this tool. If a member of ours that's only a part of Georgia MLS is trying to use Ditto to put a listing into Georgia MLS, they can still see, well, has this property ever been listed before? Whether it's in Georgia MLS, FMLS, perhaps they're trying to list it in Georgia MLS right now. But the only other time the home has been listed before was out towards Athens in the classic MLS database. Or the property that a member is trying to put into Georgia MLS right now, well, it may have been inputted into Georgia MLS 3 years ago or 3 months ago. So now you're able to come here and locate that listing in Georgia MLS to save it new. Now, some of you may end up liking Ditto so much that you could start your own listing from scratch using Ditto. Whether you're going to autofill listing data into a form or not, you might just like the ability that it's giving you in the listing input process. But for the most part, our members have been using this tool for its autofill capabilities. Some people think of it as almost like cloning because you're able to autofill not just your listing into here, but other individuals' listing data into here. Another example that I often like to show is I may be a listing agent for a listing that I just put in under acreage and farm. But if I wanted to, I could come here to Ditto, and that listing that I put in under acreage and farm, perhaps it could also be inputted as a single family detached listing. I could advertise it under both property types. And I know that's a rare instance, but if I've already put that acreage and farm listing into Georgia MLS, I can come here, locate it by its address or its listing number.
Nah, your tablet, has it been doing that thing again?
If I find that acreage and farm listing, I could now come here and I could autofill it into that second property type. again, now I didn't have to, if I wanted to advertise a listing under single family detached and also acreage and farm, I didn't have to do that full listing input process twice. I simply did it once and auto-filled it to that second property type. So using this for its auto-filling capabilities is going to save you time, not having to sit in front of your computer every time you've got to get a new listing put in to our service or FMLS. Now, our Georgia MLS data team built this specific for our members. You must be a broker or agent or office administrator with the capabilities to access this. Using your ID and password whenever you log in to GAMLS.com. Now, personally, I like the process that Paragon gives me. If I have to put a listing into Georgia MLS, and I'm going to start by doing that before I send it over to FMLS, then I might still just come here and input my listing into Georgia MLS right here. I like how it monitors how many I have remaining. I like how it lays everything out for me. And just like Ditto, I can do the full photo upload when I'm inputting a listing. But this is just a personal preference. I kind of like adding my listing in Paragon. And once I have it saved, then I'll come over to Ditto. And if I need to get my listing into FMLS, I'll do that now. I'll autofill it over to that service. Or if it would be easier for you to go put it into FMLS and then come here to Ditto and bring it into Georgia MLS, then perhaps that's what your process is going to look like. I like that I can have this tool do whatever I need it to do in different situations, but I might end up liking doing all my input, all my autofilling, everything, whether I'm sending it to Georgia MLS, FMLS, whether I'm putting in a new listing or autofilling an existing listing into here. I may end up liking Ditto so much that all my listing input is occurring in here. But please don't forget that although you have this tool, you need to further maintain your listing when it calls for it. And you're going to continue doing that in Paragon. Making your status changes, price changes, adding open houses, uploading documents, updating photos or data on the listing report. You will continue to do that here in Paragon by maintaining your listings. So now Georgia MLS members, whether they are just a part of our service or whether they're a part of another listing service out there in the state, they have the ability, and more listing services, you're going to start to see them mapped out and added to this list right here. There are over 20 listing services throughout the state, and we have quite a few dual members in those services. So there is going to become more and more of a demand for our members to have the ability to autofill and send listings to those services. Office admins with a secretarial login set up for them at Georgia MLS have access to this tool, and they can input any and all listings for the office since they've got those privileges granted to them with a secretarial login. So office administrators can utilize this tool, but a lot of Georgia MLS members, individual agents, members are responsible for inputting and maintaining their listings in our service. So if you're one of those individuals, you'll want to know how to use this tool. Now, we've got some quick help videos that you can fall back to later on that'll kind of simply discuss this tool and walk you through it again. But as I've shown you today, it is a rather straightforward tool. You come here to identify the listing you want to autofill into here. Whether you are saving that into our service or FMLS, this is an autofill tool that you're using to save you time. Although it is a very straightforward tool here, talking about it for a half an hour, sometimes, there are still different questions that y'all might have about this tool. So if there are any questions that we need to go over today pertaining to Ditto, please feel free. However, we want to open up that option on discussing any questions that y'all might have as an office, as individuals, about how you can utilize Ditto for your work. Please feel free to open any of those questions up at this time.
Hey guys, you can unmute yourselves and ask your questions for Justin. If you have any questions about Ditto or anything else on Georgia MLS, unmute yourselves and you can for sure just ask the question.
And y'all believe me, if there's no questions, y'all are gonna make me blush, because that just means that y'all have got a complete understanding of this tool now. And I mean, I promise y'all have got tech support. If y'all need to call tech support, y'all call them 8:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. They're gonna be there to hold your hand or point you to an answer. But if there's any questions, if y'all run into anything using Ditto, feel free to let me know. And really, if there's any questions that y'all have today about Georgia MLS or anything I can point you to, feel free to ask those while we're hanging out today. So I want everyone to be aware that we do have tech training going on virtually right now. You can access some of that tech training. If there's a specific program you need a little more training on, there is some CE approved online tech training that we have in our tech class self-enrollment schedule right now. If you come here when logged in to GAMLS.com, you can sign up for classes. And we have some sessions coming up over Introduction to Transaction Desk, Introduction to Paragon, the CRS MLS Tax Suite, building a CMA using Paragon. This whole menu is composed of virtual CE courses right now. Once we start to do more in-class training, we will add those to the list as well. But if there is anyone that's been wanting to figure out how to set up email drips in Georgia MLS for your searches, for recommended listings that you have with your client, come see me in Introduction to Paragon so we can walk through some of those steps and you can set some work up for yourself in that program between you and your client. Also, if you're trying to manage your GAR forms or RE forms, you've got those accessible in Transaction Desk, allowing you to then create a transaction and use AuthentiSign to get your signings done electronically. Now, our tax suite system, the CRS tax suite, you have a 3-hour CE session over that system right here, and we'll walk through how to search and use the prospecting tool in that program. Anyone here that's needing to develop CMAs using the Georgia MLS Paragon system, there is a 3-hour CE virtual training session over that. And if any of these dates you're available for some CE training, come see me. They tend to be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., but you can enroll yourself by clicking enroll over here on the right side of the screen, and you can put yourself into that class. We'll send you a link to participate. Now, if you go out to YouTube and you were to search Georgia MLS, you would find a lot of our webinars and training videos. But also, you might have noticed that I've got all these little quick access links up here at the top of my homepage when I'm logged in to GAMLS.com. If you would like to customize or set up your quick links that you have here at the top of your homepage, come back into here later on, log in and click this little gear in your quick access section. And it's going to let you add your own quick links up there at the top of the screen. I want one for videos and webinars. It's just a quick access link that takes me out to YouTube. So look at all these other things that I now have set up to quickly hop into at Georgia MLS. Not just Paragon, our tax suite, transaction desk, but I gave myself a quick link that takes me into YouTube, where all the Georgia MLS videos are in one place for you to watch. Also, Georgia MLS partnered up with On-Course Learning to bring our members over 40 online CE courses. Y'all can come here and take these whenever you would want. If you're a broker or agent member of Georgia MLS, you have access to this menu, and you do not have to purchase these courses if you come here to take them. They are a part of your membership. Feel free to take as many as you would like. Now, I'm not going to wait for that to load in. I just wanted to go over a few of these things that you have available to you as a member. Please feel free to let us know how we can help going forward, whether you call tech support or just give Georgia MLS a call and pose a question to compliance, membership, anyone you need to speak with. Any other questions before I head out for the day?
I guess there's no questions.
All right. Well, I do appreciate your time today. And as you've probably seen, Ditto is a pretty straightforward tool to use. Please feel free to go ahead and start by using it. If you want just a summary recap, right now under announcements is just a brief little few-minute video that'll just, again, walk you and talk you through the tool and what it's allowing you to do. But let us know if you run into any difficulty using that. We are here to help. I appreciate y'all's time today. Thank y'all so much.
All right. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you all.
Again, everybody, this recording will be in our Tech Thursday group on Workplace. So thank you guys for joining us today, and hope you have a great and productive day.